It's a beautiful morning. Megan wants to have a quick breakfast before work, but she only has 3 identical apples. Only one of them is safe to eat, while the other 2 are poisoned. Can you help her choose the best option? The second apple has a caterpillar in it, which means that there's no poison in the fruit, so it's safe to eat. Megan is riding her motorbike to work as usual. She drives around the same corner at a certain speed every day, regardless of whether it's rainy or sunny. However, if it's cloudy but not rainy, Megan usually goes faster. Why? There's a car wash on that corner. On rainy days, wet roads reduce traction. On sunny days, water from the car wash makes the road wet and causes the same effect. But if the weather forecast says there's a chance of rain, the car wash gets few clients and thus the road stays dry. That's why Megan passes the area faster. Megan is sitting in her office. Suddenly, a delivery guy enters the room holding a cardboard box. He sits down near Megan. Although she can't see, hear, or smell the contents of this box, she knows for sure what's there. How? Megan is allergic to cats. She began to experience the symptoms of her allergy. Megan is looking out of the office window. She sees a pile of pebbles, a carrot, and a pipe laying together in the middle of a garden. Any idea what happened here? Megan saw the remains of a melted snowman. Megan's boyfriend Stan sends her a selfie. She immediately realizes that he cheated. How did she know? Take a look at the background. There's someone's lipstick on the dresser. The lipstick probably doesn't belong to Megan. That's why she suspects that another woman has been visiting Stan's apartment. Megan goes to the office kitchen and finds 2 identical lunchboxes in the fridge. Can you find 3 differences between them? Here they are. Megan's coworker Sarah claims that one of the lunchboxes belongs to her. Can you guess which one? The lid of the first lunchbox has a nail polish scratch on it. The color of the nail polish matches Megan's purple nails perfectly. Therefore, the second box must belong to Sarah. Megan's task is to find a rental beach house for her boss. She finds 3 available options. Can you help Megan choose the best one? According to the info box, the first house will be completed in 100 years, so it's probably a scam. The second house should have 4 floors, but it only has 2 according to the picture. Therefore, Megan should pick the third option. After work, Megan goes to a hairdresser. A group of clients is waiting in the lobby, but it's not that simple. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? It's the First Lady. An Earthling would hardly drink shampoo. Megan asks her hairdresser to dye her hair red. They apply the hair dye, wait a precise amount of time, and then wash it off. Oh no! Megan's hair is green! She interrogates 3 suspects. The hairdresser says, "Honey, I have no idea what happened. I did everything according to instructions." The cleaning lady says, "I didn't approach your hair dye. I'm allergic to all sorts of hair products." And the manager says, "I'm so sorry, miss. Someone must have confused the packages with hair dye." Who's lying? The cleaning lady. She would hardly be able to work in a beauty salon if she really had allergies to all sorts of hair products. Megan is meeting her friend at a new nightclub. She enters the building and gets lost in the basement. Megan faces 3 doors leading outside this trap. Behind the first door, there's a bunch of gross snakes. Although they all look the same, some of them are venomous and some of them are not. Behind the second door, there's an ancient magic box. Anyone who dares open this box will be cursed. And there's a tunnel full of hungry guard dogs behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? Megan should choose the second option. She can simply walk past the box without opening it and avoid the curse. Luckily, Megan manages to escape and finds the nightclub. The guard at the entrance demands a password. Megan forgot it. She only remembers that it's a 6-number combination. Can you help her crack the code? Take a look at the numbers written on the wall. Megan needs some lateral thinking here. The hint shows 3 4s, 7 1s, and 2 7s. So the code is 3 4 7 1 2 7. Finally, Megan enters the party. She spots a famous influencer among the guests, Rob. Megan approaches and asks for a selfie. He agrees, but in the middle of the photo shoot, Rob suddenly faints. The police figure out that he's been poisoned. They question 3 witnesses. Rob's wife, Ashley, says, "We're both on a juice diet. Rob and I only drank 1 juice all day long. I feel okay. I have no idea what happened to him." Rob's manager, Stella, says, "I only talk to Rob once a day. He borrowed my earbuds because he forgot his own at home." And Daniel, Rob's brother, says, "Rob couldn't stand the juice diet, so I secretly treated him to some sugar-free organic cookies. I hope it's not my fault." Who poisoned Rob? Stella. There's a bottle of ear poison inside her pocket. She put it on the earbuds. Finally, Megan arrives home. Oh no! Someone stole her favorite antique vase. She calls the police and they question 3 neighbors. Mia says, "I was out of town. I just returned an hour ago and I was so tired after a long drive that I immediately went to bed." Tyler says, "I was getting ready to paint my house, but it didn't seem the rain would stop soon. So I went to the movies instead." Anna says, "My sister got sick. That's why I was busy looking after my little nephew." Who's lying? It was Mia. It's been raining for the whole day. If she'd returned home just an hour ago, the road under her car would be wet. Megan joins the local running marathon. All the participants run the same distance. Each gets ranked according to their own unique result. Megan turns out to be both the 50th fastest and the 50th slowest runner. How many runners are there in the marathon? Even though 100 sounds like a clear-cut answer, it's actually 99. Megan is the 50th in the sequence from 1 to 50 of the fastest runners. If she's the 50th slowest, there has to be 99 runners ranked from 50 to 99. Megan is visiting the world's tallest skyscraper. It took 7 years to build it. Every year, the builders managed to double its height. How many years did it take the skyscraper to reach half its maximum height? Six years. If the constructors doubled the building's height every year, the skyscraper had to be half its final height a year before it was completed.
Now, Carol was invited to a Halloween party in an abandoned house. Her friends asked if she was up for a challenge, and she said yes. Soon enough, she was locked inside a room. In this room, there was one door and 3 light switches next to it. Behind the door was an empty closet with nothing but a light bulb. Her task was to figure out which switch controls the light bulb inside the closet. She could flip the switches in whatever way she wanted, but once she opened the door, she couldn't touch the switches anymore. After some minutes of thinking, she was able to get it right. How did Carol do it? Okay, let's go step by step. She flipped switch number 1 and then waited a few minutes. She flipped it back to off and then immediately flipped switch number 2. Then she opened the door and checked the light. The bulb was off, so she discovered that it wasn't switch number 2 that controlled the light. So she decided to touch the bulb to test if it was hot or cold. If the bulb had been cold, that would have meant that switch number 3 controlled it. But the bulb was hot, so that meant that switch number 1 controlled 1. Way to go, Carol! To get back to the party, Carol had to solve another riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measures 7 minutes, and the other one measures 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could she do it? First, she turned both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute glass finished, there were still 3 minutes left on the other one. She flipped the 4-minute glass again. When the 7-minute glass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other glass. And once the 4-minute glass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand at the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there was 1 minute worth of sand on the top of the glass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes elapsed in total. Now look at this party scene. Everyone is dancing in their Halloween costumes and having an enjoyable time. You've been told that one of these people is a real vampire. Can you figure out who it is? Let's see. The guy on the left is drinking something red, but he has a shadow, so he can't be a real vampire. The second lady looks creepy, could be her, but if you look closely at the mirror on the wall, you'll see her reflection, so it can't be her. And we can also see the reflection of the fourth guy in the mirror. This only leaves one lady left. She must be the real vampire. Anna sat down to watch her favorite TV show. She made some popcorn, turned on the TV, and nestled comfortably to binge-watch an entire season. Her cat Pepper sat down next to her, but after 5 minutes of screen time, Anna suddenly passed out. Look at the image. Can you guess what happened there? Anna's cat Pepper got scared with the loud thump that came from the TV. It jumped on top of Anna and it scared the life out of her. That's why she passed out. Brendan was camping alone in a remote location. He left his campsite and hiked 3 miles south. Then he turned east and hiked for another 3 miles. After that, he turned north and hiked for another 3 miles. After walking 9 miles, he was back to the exact same point from where he had left off. Plus, he got there just in time to find a bear trying to open his tent and steal his food. Look at the image. Can you guess the only place in the world where Brendan could be right now? It's the North Pole. That's the only place where you can hike for 3 miles south, east, and north and end up exactly where you left off. Fraser bought a cozy home in Vancouver. On a sunny day, he decided to take his dog out for a walk. When he let his dog off the leash, it ran extremely far away from him. At some point, the dog was opposite him across a huge lake. Fraser called his dog, who managed to cross safely to the other side of the lake without getting wet or using a boat. Can you guess how the dog managed to do it? Well, that's a trick question, but the dog could easily cross the lake since it was frozen. Your best friend invited you for brunch at a place called Wally's World. As soon as you arrive there, the hostess tells you that you need to solve a riddle to get inside. She tells us that there is only one rule at Wally's World. Over there is pizza with cheese, but no pizza with sausage. There is pepper, but no salt. There is a door, yet no entrance or exit. With this information, can you guess what the law is? Everything in Wally's World must contain double letters. So things such as pizza, pepper, and cheese are allowed inside. Whew! That sure wasn't obvious, huh? On a snowy winter afternoon, Dr. Brown was resting in front of the fireplace. Suddenly, somebody threw a snowball at his window. The hit was so strong that the glass shattered. Dr. Brown stood up just in time to see 3 neighborhood boys running away. They were brothers with the names John Smith, Mark Smith, and Dave Smith. The next day, a paper note was left on Dr. Brown's door. There it was written, a question mark, then Smith. He threw the snowball. Dr. Brown knew immediately which brother had done it. Can you figure it out too? It was Mark. You see, the note said, question mark Smith. He threw the snowball. But the boys were clever and put a question mark instead to test Dr. Brown's detective abilities. Henry was backpacking through Brazil by himself. One evening at around 8 p.m., he got very hungry and decided to look for a cozy restaurant to have some dinner. He walked into a traditional restaurant only to find a customer and a waiter arguing over something. The customer said that he had ordered clam soup, while the waiter was saying he had only ordered a cup of tea. Henry saw something that immediately showed him who was lying. Can you find out too? The customer is lying. Behind him, there's a huge sign that says the restaurant only serves soup from 1 to 4 p.m. Since it was 8 p.m. in the evening, the waiter would have never accepted the customer's order in the first place. Cheryl ran into her house extremely worried. I set off as soon as I heard the news, she told the police officer. I was at my parents' house in another town. What's happened to my husband? Well, the police said, somebody hurt Mr. Moffat, and he ended up in the hospital. He's going to be okay, but we still need to find out who did this to him. The police officer has questioned 3 suspects so far. Mr. Moffat's secretary said, I was sent to visit Mr. Moffat's business partner in the morning. Some important documents needed signatures. The cook said, I haven't left the kitchen today. Mr. Moffat wanted me to prepare a meal for him and his wife. The housekeeper said, I didn't hear anything today. I was doing some household chores all day long. After that, I was so tired, I decided to take a nap. The police officer realized who the culprit was in no time. Can you figure out who did it? It was the cook. Mr. Moffat didn't ask him to cook anything for his wife, since she had been out of town all along.
Hey, dear detective! It's time you apply your skills to solve the toughest brain teasers we've got. Look at these hands. All of them seem to belong to wealthy people. But it's just an illusion. Your first case is to figure out which person is indeed rich. Have you noticed the brand names on the accessories on the left and the right hands are misspelled? These luxury items must be fake. As for the hand in the middle, it's decorated with a real gold bracelet. It most likely belongs to a rich person. Now, look at these travelers and their bags very attentively. Can you spot a smuggler? Why would a blind person need a flashlight in his luggage? That's suspicious. He must be the criminal we're looking for. Which of these people is poor? Pay attention to the guy with an iPhone. The apple on the back is whole, which means the phone is fake. How about these people? Who is richer? The man on the left looks like a rich businessman, but he might be pretending. At the same time, the guy with green hair looks very casual. But he's holding a brand new laptop and expensive headphones. He's likely to be richer. Can you figure out which of these athletes is poor? It must be the blonde guy who's wearing a fake Adidas shirt. Or should I say, a Bebas. You wake up in a room with 3 doors. Suddenly, someone starts knocking on each of them. You come up to each door in turn and sneak a peek through the peephole. Behind each door, there's a police officer. Do you know which door is safe to open? You can open the third door without any worries. The first man doesn't show his badge and has a knife tucked under his belt. The second man has weird stars on his uniform. As for the third police officer, he is the only one with identical stars on his hat and badge without any hidden weapon. He's your safest option. These people look homeless, but one of them isn't poor. Who is it? Look at the guy with a cart. He's got car keys. Now this task is tough. Which of these ladies doesn't have a lot of money? Think twice before answering. The lady in pink buys only those clothes that are on sale. She might be poor. Doris was having a beach vacation with her friend Teresa. One morning, the young women were sunbathing near the water. Teresa went to a cafe to get some lemonade while Doris went swimming. When she came back, she saw that her smartphone, which she had left on her beach towel, was gone. She asked a man sunbathing nearby if he had seen her smartphone. He answered that he'd been sleeping the whole time. At this moment, Teresa came back with the lemonade. She looked around and immediately understood where Doris's phone was. Who took it? It was the neighbor. Before the accident, the spade was lying on his left. Now it's on the right. There's also a suspicious pile of sand near the spade now. The man must have hidden the phone in the sand, hoping to dig it out later. Look at these guys attentively. One of them is not living alone. Who is it? The man on the right. He's got 2 toothbrushes. Joe had a friend, Randy, who never answered questions directly. Once, Joe sent Randy a message inviting him to join their common friends in a cafe. Randy's answer was kinda weird. Sorry, no money, job and job. Luckily, Joe knew his friend well enough to understand what he meant. But can you figure it out? Randy meant he had no money because he was in between jobs. Terry invited his friend Alice, who was studying to become a police officer, to a party. It was organized by his friend Sean. Terry was worried that there could be a thief at this party. Throughout the event, Alice was watching the guests attentively. At the end of the party, she told Terry who the thief was. Have you figured it out? It's the host, Sean. At the beginning of the party, one of the guests had a watch on his wrist, and this woman had a beautiful necklace. But at the end of the party, the watch was already on Sean's wrist, and the necklace was in the flower pot. The police were informed that one of the most wanted criminals, Carl Walker, was going to arrive in the country. According to this information, the man was going to come by plane. Unfortunately, the police knew very little about him. He was short, wearing glasses, and traveling under a false name. Detective Adams went to the airport. He detained 4 people who fit the description. They were Mr. Lewis, Mr. Relkoff, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Wilson. Can you figure out who the criminal is? It's Mr. Relkoff. His last name is actually the criminal's last name, Walker, but with its letters mixed. Austin, a rich businessman, brought very important documents to his office. But he had a meeting and needed to leave for several hours. Austin asked his secretary to be super attentive. His competitors could try to break into his office to look at the documents. When he came back, his secretary told him everything had been quiet. But when the man looked around, he realized someone had been inside his office. The secretary eventually admitted having fallen asleep while Austin was away. How did the businessman understand someone had visited his office? The globe on his desk is now turned in the opposite direction. You're trapped in a room with no doors or windows. All of a sudden, the room starts filling with water. You check everywhere but can't find any way to turn it off. You know that help is on the way, but it's still at least 5 minutes until their arrival. You only have 2 minutes. After that, the entire room will be flooded. Obviously, you can't hold your breath for 3 minutes. You've got 3 objects, but only one of them can save your life. What should you choose? A straw, a rope, or an empty bucket? You should opt for the bucket. Put it on your head. This will create an air pocket, and you'll be able to breathe for a couple of minutes until help arrives. Carter had a fast and successfully developing company until his main investor went bankrupt. Upset, Carter went to visit his best friend Justin, who was a coffee shop owner. Justin told him that a rich businessman visited his cafe almost every day. He was there that day too. The man was very secretive and didn't have any social media accounts. Justin told Carter to go and introduce himself and pointed towards the back of the coffee shop. The guy went there and saw 3 men, but he didn't ask his friend which one was the wealthy entrepreneur. He looked at the men attentively. Can you figure out which one he needs? It isn't the guy in the middle. He has a dollar store bag. The one on the right could be rich, but he's recording an Instagram story. And the businessman isn't active on any social media. This means the man Carter needs is on the left. 3 friends agreed to hang out together on a Friday night. One of them, Brian, was tasked with bringing pizza. But the guy was running extremely late. His friends were starving. Strangely, Brian wasn't picking up their calls. But in an hour or so, he sent them a selfie. In the photo, he was standing next to his car. In the following message, he wrote he had run out of gas. He was at a gas station filling up his car. But his friends didn't believe Brian's excuses. Why? In the picture, it's clearly seen that the guy has an electric car. It doesn't need gas.
Elsa was 17 years old the day before yesterday. Next year, she'll turn 20.
Yay.
How come? It's possible if the present day is January 1st, while Elsa's birthday is on the 31st of December. The day before yesterday, on December 30, she was still 17 years old. Yesterday, on the 31st of December, she turned 18. Thus, this year, Elsa turns 19 and next year 20. Elsa and her sister Helga explore an old attic in their parents' house. It's very dark and dirty. After that, they go downstairs to have some lunch. Helga's face is all covered with dust, while Elsa's face is super clean. But still, only Elsa goes to the bathroom to wash her face. Why? Elsa noticed that her sister's face was dirty, so she thought her face must be dirty too. As for Helga, she saw that Elsa's face was clean and assumed that her own face was clean too. After lunch, Elsa and Helga go for a walk across an enchanted forest. They reach the riverbank, but the bridge is closed for repairs. The sisters notice two dwarfs fishing in a boat near the bridge. They agree to help the sisters, but their boat is very tiny. It can fit either one sister or two dwarfs. Luckily, they manage to solve this issue. Elsa and Helga cross the river on the same boat. How? Well, first of all, one of the dwarfs brought his fellow on the opposite bank. Then he headed back for the sisters alone. Helga got into the boat and crossed the river. She gave the second dwarf the boat, and he returned to the opposite bank. He picked his fellow dwarf and brought him to Helga. Then one of the dwarfs swam to Elsa and passed the boat to her. She crossed the river and joined Helga, and finally, the second dwarf returned to his fellow. Helga and Elsa keep on walking and get lost in the forest. There are 3 roads to the nearest town. The first route is filled with mutant plants which feed on humans. The second path leads through an ice cave with a hungry dragon frozen inside a huge ice cube. The third route leads through a village of fairies. Their magic makes humans lose their minds. Which way is safe? Well, the dragon is trapped inside the ice cube, so it's not that dangerous. Finally, the sisters reach the town. They're walking down the main street. Suddenly, someone throws an orange right at Helga's head. Elsa identifies the apartment from which the fruit fell out and goes there to complain. She knocks, and a young man opens the door right away. Elsa explains that her sister was hit by an orange that fell from his window. But the guy says, "I was washing my dog when you knocked. Only me and my pet live here, so you confused the floors." But Elsa didn't believe him. Why? According to the man, he was bathing his only pet, but the dog's hair is dry. Therefore, his story is fake. Elsa and Helga enter the local home decor shop. Helga takes a picture of her sister standing in front of the mirror. Can you spot anything odd in this photo? Take a closer look at the mirror. Elsa's hands are reflected wrong, as well as the sale poster behind her. She must be a vampire. Just kidding. The sisters continue exploring the shop, but suddenly Elsa begins to scream and runs away. That's because one of these ladies is not alive. Can you guess who? The first woman is an ordinary human. There's a mirror behind her. The third lady has a painting of herself in the background. And the second lady, who's looking over her shoulder, is a phantom. Her reflection in the mirror doesn't match the reality. Elsa decides to hide in a building nearby. Surprise! It's a pet shop. Elsa wanders around it and spots one weird detail. Can you see it too? The turtle is wearing sunglasses. The locals tell Elsa and Helga about a creepy werewolf who has been scaring the citizens for several weeks. They only know that this werewolf is a lady, and she has a husband. He's the only person who can calm her down. Elsa finds 3 suspects who might be the werewolf's husband, but none of them admits it. Can you find him? He's the second guy. There are suspicious brownish hairs on his clothes, although his own hair is blonde. The next day, Helga has a birthday party. Elsa goes to the bakery to purchase a cake for her. She's late, so she rushes over and bumps into a waiter. Elsa hits her head and forgets what cake Helga asked her to buy. She remembers just 3 things. It shouldn't have any green elements, the cake frosting shouldn't include more than 1 color, and it must have at least 1 berry. Can you help Elsa find the correct cake? Elsa should take the 4th cake. It's a chocolate cheesecake, so it doesn't have anything green. The glazing is brown and is decorated with cherries. A perfect match. Elsa buys the cake and leaves. The bakery is located inside the highest tower in town. Elsa enters the elevator to go down, but she hits the wrong button and finds herself on the roof. She decides to take some pictures with the iconic huge clock installed at the top of this tower. Oops! Elsa drops her phone from the roof. She decides to leave, but someone has already locked the door, and the elevator won't work, so she's trapped on the roof. Luckily, Elsa can still change the time of the clock. What time should Elsa set on the clock to make someone notice and rescue her? If she sets 5:05 on the clock, it'll look like an SOS signal. Finally, Elsa escapes from the tower and heads to the parking lot. Here's her car. Can you figure out the number of the place where it's parked? '87. Elsa arrives home. Helga shows her vacation photos sent by her new boyfriend, Kyle. In this case, you can see Kyle, his friend Bob, and a humanoid robot, Neo. Neo is standing next to Bob. A person wearing the yellow mask is not a man. What color is Kyle's mask? According to the terms, only the third guy can be Kyle, so his mask is blue. The birthday party is going well. It's almost midnight, so Elsa goes to the kitchen and adds candles on the birthday cake. Suddenly, she remembers that the only lighter in the house is upstairs in her room. She leaves the cake at the table for a minute. Then Elsa returns and sees the cake smashed all over the floor.
Oh, no.
She questions 3 suspects. Lauren says, "I was in the living room all night. I don't know who did it." Wendy says, "I went outside to watch the full moon. It's so beautiful tonight." Kyle says, "I was shooting a TikTok dance with Helga." Who ruined the cake? Wendy. Take a look out the window. The moon is not full. Busted. The next morning, Helga wakes up earlier than Elsa and checks her feed. Breaking news: a legendary thief ran away from a nearby prison and now creeps around the town. He's a talented shapeshifter, so no one knows for sure what he might look like. Suddenly, Helga hears someone ringing on the door. She opens and faces two guys who introduce themselves. Bob is a gardener from a nearby park, and Peter is a garbage man. Both guys want to use a bathroom, so they ask Helga to let them in. But only one of them is safe to invite over. Can you guess who? Bob is wearing clothes with red stains, but he's also holding a brush, so he was probably just painting a fence. Let's take a closer look at Peter's facial hair. One mustache has come unglued. It's fake. So he must be the runaway criminal from the news.
Becky attended her high school reunion last weekend.
Hello.
All of her friends seemed to be doing really well in life. Connor showed up wearing clothes from expensive brands.
Hello.
Matilda had not just one, but two of the latest smartphones.
Oh.
Tom showed up in a fancy sports car, and Beth was wearing a luxurious watch on her wrist. Take a good look at Becky's friends. Can you tell who is really rich? Well, let's see. If you look closely, Connor didn't take off the tags from his clothes. This probably means that he's planning on returning them after the reunion.
Yeah.
Matilda's phones are fake. Look at the label. It's just a copy of the original brand.
Ah.
And Beth's watch is way bigger than her wrist, which means that the watch is not really hers. So, Tom is probably the richest person at the reunion.
Oh, yeah.
Amy's favorite band is in town, and she really wants to go to their concert. She asks her stepmother if she can go, but she says she will only allow Amy to go if she does a series of things for her.
Oh.
The first thing the stepmother asks is for Amy to bring her some water in a colander. To get this right, Amy needs to think outside the box.
Okay.
Can you help Amy figure out how she can do that? Amy needs to freeze some water and put the cubes in the colander.
Yeah.
Technically, frozen water is still water, right? Next, her stepmother asks Amy to pick out the perfect evening dress for her. Amy walks into her stepmother's closet, and there are 3 dresses, a red, a green, and a blue. Take a look at the picture. Which dress should Amy choose? If you look closely, the button on the blue dress is about to come off. The green dress has a big paint stain on it, so Amy should pick the red dress.
Yes.
Before Amy can take the dress to her stepmother, the woman enters the room. She sees the stain on the dress and starts to shout at Amy, "How could you do this to my dress?" But Amy says she didn't do anything wrong, and that the paint was already there when she walked into the closet.
Yes.
The stepmother asks Amy to find the culprit.
Oh.
If she could figure out who had stained her dress, then Amy could go to the concert.
Okay.
The 3 main suspects are Amy's stepsisters, Ella, Bella, and Gabriella.
What?
They don't like Amy, so it's likely that one of them splashed paint on their mother's dress in order to frame her. When the stepsisters are out of the house, Amy sneaks into their bedroom to try to find the culprit. Take a look at the room. The first bed belongs to Ella, the second belongs to Bella, and the third bed belongs to Gabriella. Can you tell who did it? It was Gabriella. Her bed is the third one on the left. And if you look closely, it has a bucket of paint under it. Emily and Barbara are getting ready for a girls' night out.
Yes.
They are putting on makeup and getting their hair done. They have pretty similar tastes, and their things look pretty much the same. But one of them has more money than the other.
Oh.
Looking at the image, can you tell which one has the more expensive stuff? Take a look at Barbara. Her dress kind of gives it away since it's obviously a knockoff. So Emily is the one with the more expensive stuff. Harry decided to backpack around the world on his own.
Yeah.
On the plane, he sat next to a girl. He asked her where she was from.
Yes.
But instead of answering, she showed him 2 emojis on her cell phone.
Oh.
Take a look at the image. Can you tell which country the girl is from? Let's see. That's an iron and a piece of land. I guess she's from Ireland? As soon as Harry landed in Paris, he went strolling along the streets to find a place to stay. He found a cute little hotel and decided to go inside. Big mistake. Why? Take a look at the window on the last floor. It looks like there's a ghost. Yikes. I'd look for another place to stay if I were him. After he found a better hotel to stay in, he decided to get lunch. He ordered the classic French onion soup. But when his dish came, it was filled with cockroaches. He called the restaurant's manager to tell them about the incident. The manager said, "This is unacceptable. I will find the person who did this and fire them immediately." There were 3 suspects. The cook said that he had prepared the soup as usual. It was okay when he passed it to the waiter. The waiter said that he hadn't touched the soup. He just served it to Harry and hurried to take the order from another table. The manager also questioned the cleaner, who said that he had spent the last hours cleaning the bathroom and had no idea what the fuss was about. Can you tell who is guilty? No one. Look at the ventilation system. It's full of roaches. They must have crawled out of it and fallen into Harry's soup. Yikes. There are 3 passengers in the business class of an international flight that is headed towards Rome. Take a look at these 3 people. The first lady looks pretty well dressed. She's wearing a luxurious designer handbag and is texting on her expensive phone.
Hello.
The guy in the middle is working with stock charts on his laptop, and the third guy is enjoying a cup of coffee while reading an article in the Financial Times. Can you tell which one is the real billionaire? Let's see. The woman may look well dressed, but if you see the tag on her clothes, it says 100% polyester. It's unlikely that a billionaire would wear something like this. The guy working with stock charts is wearing old, ripped shoes. I doubt that's a fashion choice, so he's probably not a billionaire. That leaves us the last guy. If you look closely, the article he is reading is about him. The title of the article is The World's Newest Billionaire. I guess we found our guy, huh? Detective Smith was called to investigate a burglary at the city's museum. A priceless diamond disappeared, and the thief left no trace behind. After analyzing the museum's security cameras, Detective Smith gathered 3 suspects: the security guard, the museum's curator, and a visitor. The security guard said he only left his post during lunchtime, and he could swear that the diamond still wasn't missing at that time. The museum curator spent the day guiding a tour of the museum for a foreign group. They came to see the diamond at the beginning of the tour, and it was still shining bright in its place. The visitor said he only popped in for a quick visit and didn't even pass through the Metzi aisle where the diamond was kept. After these 3 interviews, Detective Smith found the thief. Can you tell who it was? It was the visitor. First of all, he knew the exact location of the diamond inside the museum. Plus, take a look at that string he's fiddling with in his left hand. Detective Smith pulled it from under his sleeve and voila, the diamond was attached to it. I guess he didn't have time to go home and get rid of the diamond, huh? Julie and her friends decided to spend the weekend at a cabin in the woods. They arrived on Friday evening and spent the night playing board games and telling spooky stories. When they woke up on Saturday morning, they found that someone had stolen all their food supply. The door's glass was shattered, but other than that, there were no signs of who could have done it. So the group decided to search the surrounding woods to see if they could find the culprit. Take a good look at the scene the group stumbled upon and see if you can find out who took their food. What's that at the left corner? Those look like bear footprints, huh? And not just one, but rather an entire family of bears. Oh, and they even left an Oreo wrapper on the ground as evidence. Yep, these grizzlies were the culprits for sure. Atlas woke up in the attic of an abandoned house. He tried to find a way out of the house, but all he could find was a room with 3 doors. Each door hid a different danger. The windows and floor behind the first door were made entirely of magnifying glass, which meant that the sunlight would probably burn him if he entered. The second door hid a room full of poisonous gas. and behind the third door was a hungry lion. What should Atlas do to escape? He should wait until it's nighttime and use the first door. Sydney told her mom that her gymnastics team would go to a sports camp for the weekend. She asked her mom to help her pack a bag for the trip. Her mother packed everything she thought her daughter would need. When Sydney came back from the weekend, she was telling her mother all about the trip. But somewhere during the conversation, she asked her mother why she hadn't packed a toothbrush. The mother immediately knew Sydney was lying about where she had really been that weekend. How? Because Sydney's mother did pack a toothbrush, but she put it under Sydney's gymnastics clothes. If Sydney had really gone camping, she would have used the clothes and found the toothbrush. Kimberly discovered 3 bags in an old attic along with a note. The note said that there were $1 million inside one of the bags. It also said that the 2 other bags were empty. She only had one chance to figure out which bag had the cash, and she could trust that one of the messages written on the bags was true. On the first bag, it said, "The cash is not here." On the second bag, it was written, "The cash is not here." The last bag read, "The cash is in the second bag." If you were Kimberly, which bag would you choose? You should choose the first bag. If only one of the clues is true, then the money is in the first bag. The police have been after Mr. Burke for many years, trying to prove he's involved in illicit activities, but they never managed to catch him. One day, Detective Lawrence decided to make a surprise visit to Mr. Burke's office. As soon as the detective arrived, Mr. Burke's secretary said he was away on a business trip. The detective asked to see Mr. Burke's office and took a picture of it, but he wasn't allowed to touch anything without a warrant. So, Detective Lawrence went back to the station and got a warrant. When he returned to Mr. Burke's office, he noticed someone had been in there. Take a look at both pictures and try to find out what Detective Lawrence saw. The desk lamp is tilted and the books are in different places. Someone definitely was in that room. Detective Lawrence decided to search Mr. Burke's entire office. In one room, he found there were footprints up until the middle of the room, and then they disappeared. The only window of the room was open. "Oh no!" Detective Lawrence shouted. "I can't believe he escaped again." He took a picture of the room and took it to the police station. At the station, he showed the picture to the other detectives, and one of them said he had cracked the case. Take a look at the picture. How did the detective solve the case? The detective understood that Mr. Burke was a shapeshifter. This explains why the footprints didn't reach the window. Plus, look at all the bird food on the floor. He probably shapeshifted into a bird and escaped.
One day, Emma went to her best friend Taylor's house crying. When Taylor asked what was wrong, Emma showed her the photo her boyfriend Andrew sent her from his solo hiking trip and yelled, "He's cheating on me!" Take a look at the image and tell me, how did she know? In the first photo from the kitchen of his Airbnb, there's a glass on the table with a lipstick mark. And in the second photo from the bathroom, see these slippers in front of the bathtub? These are slippers only a woman can wear. The local movie theater was doing a special Valentine's Day rom-com movie marathon, and they were doing a discount on the tickets for couples. However, the theater owner realized people were taking advantage of the offer by pretending to be couples. Take a look at these 3 couples standing in front of the ticket line. Can you help the owner figure out which 2 people are indeed partners? The second couple might not be holding hands and looking couple-like the others. But take a look at their ankles. They have tiny matching tattoos. They must indeed be committed partners. Now, take a look at these people watching a movie in another movie theater. There is only one real couple here. Can you tell who? Everyone's hands are everywhere, right? But if you look carefully, you'll see that this guy is not holding hands with anyone. He's just stealing popcorn from the lady sitting next to him. And this lady is trying to grab this guy's drink. See these people sitting on the right end of the front row? They might be sitting close to each other, but the guy is holding hands with this other lady. So they must be the real couple. Sarah has a crush on several guys at her college. One of them might be her soulmate. But first, she has to find out if they're single. There are some photos of them with their partners or siblings, and she needs to guess who is who. Can you help her figure out the single guys? Look at the first photo. Crush number 1, James, is hugging two girls tightly. The first girl has the same birthmark on her cheek as he does, so they might be siblings. The second girl is wearing a matching outfit, and she's holding his hand, so she is his girlfriend. Now, let's investigate the second photo. Crush number 2. Reggie might look like he's hugging this girl, but he's holding his hands in the air, not touching her body. This indicates they're not in a romantic relationship. The second girl is hugging him, but she's holding another guy's hand who is not in the photo. That means she has a boyfriend and Reggie is single. And lastly, Daniel, crush number 3 in the last image, is hugging a girl, but they both have friendship bracelets, so they're best friends. The second girl in the image looks grumpy. Daniel is pinching her cheek, which can only mean they must be siblings. It seems that Daniel is single as well. Ken is going on a blind date, but the only thing he knows about the girl whom she will meet is that she will be wearing a scarf with stripes. When he arrives at the restaurant they agreed to meet at, he sees 3 different ladies, all wearing scarves with stripes. Can you help him find out who his blind date is? The lady in the yellow dress already ordered her food and started eating. That means she wasn't going to meet anyone. The same goes for the lady in the red dress as well. It would be rude of her to enjoy tea if she was expecting anyone to join her. So, Ken's date must be the lady in the blue dress, waiting with 2 empty cups in front of her. Ella is waiting for her date. Take a look at these 3 guys across the street. Can you tell who her date is? Ella is holding a bucket of popcorn, so she must have a movie date. Now, take a look at the shirt pocket of the first guy. He has 2 movie tickets in there, so he must be the one going on a date with Ella.
Gotcha!
You were chosen as a contestant for the local channel's Valentine's Day themed quiz show. On the day of the show, you successfully made it to the final question. If you answer it correctly, you're going to win the $50,000 prize. The host invites 3 men, Jack, Robert, and Michael, and 3 women, Jane, Carol, and Lily, to the stage. Then he says, "I'm going to give you 3 facts about these people here, and I want you to tell me who the couples are. The first fact is, Jane's sister is married to Michael. The second fact is, Jack has never met Lily. And the third fact is, Lily is an only child." Can you win the grand prize? Jack is married to Jane, Robert to Lily, and Michael to Carol. Sophie received an anonymous letter in her locker that said, "Roses are red, violets are blue. Meet me here tonight if you love me too." The only thing is, she didn't know who it was from because they forgot to sign it. 3 classmates had been near her locker during the lunch break. Can you help her figure out who wrote the note? Take a look at Ethan's hands. They're covered with glitter, which matches the glitter hearts on the letter. So he must be the one who wrote it. Richard wanted to get a special anniversary gift for his wife, Rachel. He decided to check her wish list to pick something from there. The list included the first edition of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, a pearl necklace, and a luxury handbag. Which one should he pick as his gift? Take a look around the room. The first edition of Pride and Prejudice is already among the other books in Rachel's bookcase. The same goes for the pearl necklace. It's right here around the neck of the statue. So, since she already bought the first 2 items, Richard should get the luxury handbag. During her honeymoon, Jenny lost her matching gold wedding ring by the poolside.
Oh, no.
Her husband, Tristan, thought it was actually stolen and he was suspicious of these 3 people. Can you tell which one stole the ring? The first lady is wearing a wedding ring on a chain around their neck, but it has a diamond on it. And since Jenny's ring needs to match Tristan's ring, which has no diamonds, that's not hers. The second man has several gold rings on his fingers, but none of them can belong to Jenny since they're all too large for her fingers. So, it's the third lady who stole the ring. See the silver-colored spray paint cans on her dress? She tried to disguise Jenny's golden ring by painting it silver, and she didn't even do a good job on that. Keith was working at the Cupid's Arrow booth at the carnival. There were 3 guys who all wanted to try their chances at winning the giant teddy bear prize. Unfortunately, they all took a shot with their arrows once Keith's attention was elsewhere. One arrow did hit the bullseye, but all 3 contestants were claiming it was theirs. Can you help Keith determine the true winner? Take a look at the second guy's backpack on the ground. It says National Archery Team on it. That means he must be the actual archer. So it's likely that he's the real winner. Tom planned a surprise for his girlfriend Kelly. When she arrived at the address where they were supposed to meet, she saw 3 different stores side by side. A jewelry store, a chocolate shop, and a florist. Where do you think Tom is waiting for her? Take a look at the display window of the chocolate shop. Among the chocolate letters, you can find the word surprise. So that's where Tom is.
Get ready! These riddles will show you how attentive you are and how sharp your eyesight is. Let's rock it!
Yeah!
Esme, Evelyn, and Elise are drinking coffee. Ava, Ella, and Emma are drinking soda. Is Esther going to drink coffee or soda? Esther is going to drink coffee. The letter E in her name is used twice, just like in the names of the other coffee drinkers. Here's a tough question. Look at the picture and choose what or who you'll say first. You should save your family first. In any family, there are several people. They can help you save the rest of the people and the money. Look at these pictures. There's something wrong in one of them. Can you figure out what it is? This woman is eating the soup with a fork. Well, that's not a very successful strategy. Let's look at this picture. At first, there may seem like there's nothing in it but 3 bright stripes of different colors. But if you squint, you might find something else there. Have you spotted several faint numbers in the image? They are 55, 37, and 22. What do you think? Who's in greater danger here? It's the woman. If the man doesn't provoke the sharks, they might just circle him a few times and swim away. Or they might not be interested in humans altogether, but the flames won't be so hesitant. Stephen's family was away for the weekend. When they came back, they found Stephen injured and unconscious in the living room. The maid said she had been cleaning the house all morning and then had taken a nap in the afternoon. The cook told the police he had been making a food inventory in the afternoon. And the driver said he had been away, driving the kids to a museum. Who has something to do with the accident? It's the driver. The whole family, including the kids, were away on the weekend. He couldn't have driven them anywhere. Now, are you witty enough to crack the following riddle? What tastes like an apple but is green in color? It's a green apple. Nothing less, nothing more. How many letters are there in the vowels? There are 9 letters. Count yourself. The vowels. Mary went to a massage spa to have let's assume it's a massage. Great choice. She was having such a great time that she dozed off. When it was time to pay, the woman found out that her money was missing. There were 3 people who could have taken the money. The first employee said she had been having her lunch at the back of the salon. The second employee claimed she had gone to the back of the storage to get some oil. And another customer explained that she had been waiting for her turn to get a massage. Who is lying? The second employee. Why would she need to go to the storage if she has a few bottles of oils right there? Which banana, in your opinion, is the best and ready to be eaten? You should pick banana number 4. It's ripe and yellow, and there are no brown spots on it yet. Uncle Jack had a huge problem. His farm had experienced a terrible downpour, and now all but 15 pigs were missing and couldn't be found. How many pigs were still in the barn? 15. Hannah told her mom that her gymnastics team would be going to a sports camp for the weekend. Her mother thought it was a lie, and Hannah would spend the weekend with her boyfriend instead. And still, she helped her daughter pack her bag and didn't say a word. When Hannah came back from her weekend away, she complained to her mom that she had forgotten to pack a toothbrush. That's when her mother made sure Hannah was lying. But how did she understand it? The woman put a toothbrush inside Hannah's rolled-up sports clothes. If the girl had indeed gone camping, she would have unpacked these clothes and found the toothbrush. Can you figure out what is dark but made by light? It's a shadow, a dark area that only appears when there's a source of light. Buckets, barrels, baskets, cans. What can you fill with empty hands? Well, if your hands are empty, you can only fill gloves. Look at these women. Who is the baby's mother? It's the woman on the right. Have you noticed diapers lying in the corner? Now pay attention to these people and to what they're doing. Can you figure out which one of them is left-handed? It's the waitress. She serves with her left hand. That's why she needs to hold the tray with her right hand. Oliver was on his way to another city. It was late evening, and at some point, the man felt tired and sleepy. He immediately stopped at the nearest hotel and went inside. While the receptionist was looking for an available room, Oliver saw a breakfast flyer with delicious-looking fried eggs on it. Excuse me, could I probably have 4 fried eggs right now? The receptionist wasn't sure about that. Our cook brought 8 eggs in the morning. He broke 3 and fried 3. Were there enough eggs left for Oliver? The cook broke 3 eggs and cooked them. It leaves us with 5 extra eggs, which should be more than enough for Oliver. Some people hate it and some love it. It changes people's thoughts and appearances. If a person takes care of themselves, it goes higher. Some people manage to hide it. Others try but fail. But whatever people do, it never goes down. What is it? It's their age. When Matt was 8 years old, he hammered a nail into his favorite tree in the garden to mark his height. Then his family moved away, and he couldn't check how fast he was growing anymore. 10 years later, at the age of 18, Matt decided to come back to find the tree. If the tree grows 2 inches a year, how much higher is the nail now? The nail's going to be at the same height. Trees grow at their tops, not bottoms. Why are pianos so hard to open? The keys are inside. Mike was on his way to visit his grandma, who lived on the other side of the valley. It was her anniversary, so he wanted to give her the cakes he had made. Between Mike's house and her house, the guy had to cross 5 bridges, and as it was in the land of make-believe, there was a troll under every bridge. Each troll insisted that Mike pay a troll toll. Before the guy could cross the bridge, he had to give them half of the cakes he was carrying. But since they were kind trolls, each of them gave Mike back an entire cake. How many cakes did Mike have to take with him to make sure that he arrived at his grandma's house with exactly 2 cakes? Mike needs to take 2 cakes. At each bridge, he's required to give half of his cakes, and he receives 1 back, which leaves him with 2 cakes after every bridge. Mr. Brown opened a newspaper in the morning and saw a headline, "Workers want to make less money." He was confused until he read the article. What was going on? The workers who wanted to make less money worked at the mint and were tired of being overworked. They wanted to work less, which would mean making less money since money is made at a mint. A frog is at the bottom of a well. To get out of it, it needs to climb 30 feet. Each morning, the frog jumps 3 feet up the path, but each night, as it sleeps, it slips 2 feet back down. Thus, at the beginning of the first day, the frog has 30 feet to go. At the beginning of the second day, it has 29 feet to go, and so on. How many days will it take the frog to get out of the well? It'll take 28 days for the frog to get out. In other words, it will get out on the morning of the 28th day. This is because at the beginning of this day, the frog has 3 feet left to travel. And since the frog jumps 3 feet forward each morning, it will jump out of the well on this day. Reddit. So Bobby arrives at the railway station to go visit Granny. The train takes 3 seconds to enter a tunnel which is 1 mile long. If it's traveling at the speed of 120 miles per hour, how long will it take to pass completely through the tunnel? "120 miles per hour means 2 miles per minute, so it will take the train 30 seconds to travel 1 mile, plus 3 more seconds to enter the tunnel, making it a total of 33 seconds. 9 years ago, Bobby was 9 years old. How old will he be in 9 years? If Bobby was 9 years old 9 years ago, it means he's currently 18 years old. Thus, in another 9 years, he will be 27 years old. On the train, Bobby gets hungry and pulls some snacks out of his bag. He has a chocolate bar that consists of 2 rows of 8 square pieces each. He can break this bar vertically or horizontally. He wants to break it so that each square piece is separate. How many times does he need to break the bar to make it happen? Two times 8 equals 16. So if we separate each chocolate piece, we'll get a total of 16 pieces. Thus, you need to break the bar 15 times. Bobby arrives at the village. He's walking toward Granny's house. Suddenly, Bobby notices that her neighbor has a new angry dog. It's fastened to a tree, but the chain is long enough for the dog to reach the gate of Grandma's house. How can Bobby reach the gate? Bobby should run around the tree in circles. The dog will follow him and eventually get wrapped around the tree. After that, the gates will be out of the dog's reach. Bobby enters Granny's house. Can you spot 3 mistakes in this picture? The woman in the portrait is missing a shoe. It can't be sunrise at 12 p.m. And Grandma has a rat hiding in a ball of yarn. Granny shows Bobby her new parrot. Can you find its shadow? Only the 4th shadow is correct. Granny asked Bobby to paint her living room. Can you find 5 words in the newly painted room? The first word is bush. Here's the word paint. The 3rd word is owl, and it's hiding over here. Bucket is the 4th word, and the 5th word, broom, is over here. Bobby hears the doorbell ring. He opens the door and sees 3 grandmas with treats. These ladies are neighbors who came for tea, but one of them isn't human. Can you guess who? The first grandma is an imposter. Take a closer look. She has 3 hands.
Oh, God.
Granny invites over her friends, Telma and Violet. They're having a tea party with Bobby. He leaves the table for a couple of minutes and then returns. He takes a sip of tea and realizes that someone has added chili to his beverage. He questions the ladies. Granny says, "I was cutting the cake in the kitchen." Violet says, "I was watching the TV in the living room all the time." Telma says, "I was taking pictures of your cat in the hallway." Who's lying? Violet. There's no TV in the living room. Grandma's cat hid somewhere inside the house. Can you help Bobby catch it? The cat is in this locker. Later that day, Granny asked Bobby to help her with canning some fruits and vegetables. Eventually, she gets tired and goes to bed. Bobby promises to finish everything by himself. Oh no, he lost the recipe. Bobby only remembers that there should be an odd number of identical ingredients: 1, 3, 5, and so on. Which ingredient doesn't belong here? Garlic. What about this set of ingredients? Can you sort any of them out? There are 6 cherries. Goodbye. What can you say about these fruits? Apricots don't belong here. Bobby runs out of jars, so he goes to the barn to grab some more. Unfortunately, Granny put a combination lock on the barn door. Bobby looks around and finds a note with a hint. Can you help him crack the code? The code is not that simple. You need to count the number of boards on each wall, and the resulting password is 7954. Bobby is helping Granny to organize some boxes in the barn. Can you count which stack has the biggest number of boxes? It's the first one. Bobby is trying to organize Granny's tea jars. Can you figure out which stack is bigger? This stack has the largest number of jars. And now Bobby's task is to spot the largest stack of pots. Can you help him? It's the third stack. Bobby's granny knows a little magic. She gives him a task to mark these 6 bottles with her potions. Can you help him? It's pretty simple. The bottles have some hints. The first bottle is filled with some teeth-whitening syrup, and the second one with frog broth. The third bottle is filled with super-strength tea, and the fourth has an eternal love potion. The fifth bottle is for endless wealth, and the sixth one contains some freezing fluid. It turns out that Bobby's grandma has a dragon egg in her barn. It's very rare and expensive. That's why she hid it among toy eggs. So only one of these 7 eggs isn't fake. Grandma asked Bobby to find it. Here's a hint. It should have some pink color on it, and there are no bubbles on the shell. Also, the egg isn't in the middle, and it's not next to the blue egg. So, where's the dragon egg? Only this one matches the description completely. Bobby leaves the dragon egg in the living room by the fireplace to keep it warm. Finally, he goes to sleep. The next morning, he finds out that the egg is hatched. Can you help Bobby find the little dragon? It's over here on the shelf. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Bobby opens the door and sees 2 gardeners. One of them is an imposter from another planet. Can you guess who? It's the guy on the left. He doesn't have any ears. Oh no! Bobby asks the imposter to leave. Instead, he pushes Bobby, runs into the house, and steals the little dragon. The thief escapes to the forest. Bobby is chasing him. He comes across these 3 routes. There's a family of bears hanging out on the first route. The second path is enchanted by a wicked wizard. Any animal or bird who dares to walk this route turns into stone. And the third route is infested with sick ticks. Which way is more or less safe? The second way is good to go. The spell only works on animals and birds, not on people. Bobby finds the thief's spaceship in the field. He sees the dragon in a cage nearby. Can you help Bobby crack the 4-digit code to unlock the cage? The note nearby is a hint. Earth is the 3rd planet from the Sun. Mercury is the first one, Mars is the 4th, and Venus is the 2nd. So the code is 3142. Bobby rescues the dragon and brings it back to Granny. He decides to go home by car. The entire trip will take him 100 miles. First of all, he drives 30 miles to a gas station and fills his tank fully. Then he drives another 15 miles until he reaches the car service center. After that, Bobby drives 20 more miles and makes a stop near a small hotel. That's when Bobby realizes that he has already used up exactly 1/2 of the gas tank. What do you think he should do? Keep on driving home or turn around to the gas station? It takes exactly 35 miles to reach Bobby's home. And if we count how many miles ago Bobby was at the gas station, it's 35 as well. It means that the gas in Bobby's car will run out exactly at the moment when he arrives home. so he definitely shouldn't go back to the gas station. So, our guy James here had passed all the first stages of the entrance exam for the Superhero Training Academy. For the final stage, the committee was going to test if he was able to determine who to save first in urgent situations. So they showed him a few images and wanted him to decide who was really in danger. Can you help him out? Here are the first two. In the second image, the train is not moving and the lights are not on. That means the man can cross without any danger. As for the woman taking a bath and trying to dry her hair, well, it's not wise to use electrical stuff in the bathtub, so James should save her first. Now take a look at this footage of two people falling from a cliff. Can you help James detect who is in real danger here? The guy holding the umbrella might appear to be falling faster than the guy holding the plastic bag. However, he's going to fall right into the water, whereas there is a sharp rock right below the plastic bag guy. So, in a situation like this, James should save him first. The last image was going to determine whether James would be accepted or not. Who should be saved first? The lady absorbed in her phone in the second image is safe, because even though the traffic looks busy, the lights show a clear walk signal and cars are stopped. But the man in the first image has left a metal spoon in the microwave that he's about to turn on. That's a big no-no. James finally got accepted into Superhero Training Academy. But there, he was not going to use his real name. He needed to pick a superhero name for himself. Can you guess what his name is? These emojis might help. His superhero name is Thunderbolt Titan. Ooh. It was time to graduate. At the ceremony, the headmaster of the academy wanted to reward Thunderbolt Titan for finishing first in his class. He presented him with a mysterious chest containing a puzzle. Inside awaited a new suit, a cloak, and a high-tech gadget, but only if Thunderbolt Titan could crack the code. Can you help him solve the puzzle and claim his rewards? Look at the number sequence. What comes next? The correct answer is 7238. You just have to move the last number to the front. One day when Thunderbolt Titan was at home, somebody slid a note under his door. But it was encrypted with a strange number sequence. And below the numbers, there was a hint. Think about your device. Can you help decode the mysterious message? To decode this number sequence, we use a mobile phone keypad, as the hint suggests, where each number pair represents a letter. The first digit indicates the keypad number, and the second digit selects the letter's position on that key. For instance, 42 translates to H, because 4 corresponds to the GHI button, and pressing on it 2 times will give you H. Following this method, the fully decoded message is "Help now." A villain from the multiverse had brought all kinds of creatures to planet Earth, and the Protectors League needed Thunderbolt Titan's help to find and capture them before they unleashed chaos. The first monster they were searching for was a zombie, and the Protectors League had 3 suspects. Take a look at them and help Thunderbolt Titan successfully complete his first mission. The first person looks all dirty, but she was probably working in the garden. The second lady's grocery bag is leaking juice, not blood. So the third person must be the zombie, because the living don't wear hospital tags on their ankles. The second creature the Protectors League was searching for was an extraterrestrial being. Take a look at their two suspects. Who is the one hiding from the League? Look at Gary M's hospital patient chart. It says his fever is 24.5 degrees Celsius. A human can't have such a low body temperature. He must be the creature. Lastly, the League suspected that a robot was pretending to be a human at a college campus. They spotted 3 students who were acting suspiciously. Can you help Thunderbolt Titan figure out who the robot is? You might think it's obvious that the third student is a robot, but he only has a super realistic-looking robot tattoo on his arm. The first student has a blinking red light inside his shirt's pocket, but that's just a camera. On the other hand, the second student has a USB port on one of her fingers. She must be the robot. To the Protectors League's surprise, there was a fourth monster who had escaped their attention. And at the headquarters, they got an emergency alarm that it was creating mayhem at the amusement park. Thunderbolt Titan immediately rushed there. Upon arrival, he found that the creature's actions had led to a malfunction on the roller coaster ride, causing 3 passengers to be stranded dangerously. Which one should Thunderbolt Titan save first? The second guy will fall first, because he's only holding on with one hand, which is actually pretty difficult to do for an extended period of time. Therefore, Thunderbolt Titan should first save him. Thunderbolt Titan had successfully completed his first 2 missions. However, the villain was not happy that he ruined his evil plans. So he captured him and locked him in a room with no exits. There was only a note that said, "Answer this riddle and you might escape." What can fill a room but takes up no space? The answer is light. Even though Thunderbolt Titan answered the riddle correctly, nothing happened. The villain had tricked him. He had to do something, so he used his superpowers to open 3 portals for himself. However, he didn't have great control over his magical portal power yet. So, all the portals led to tricky places. The first one opened to a jungle full of all kinds of wild animals. The second one opened into the middle of a desert planet, and the third one opened to the edge of a steep, rocky hill. Which one should he choose? Remember the roller coaster mission? Thunderbolt Titan can fly, so he can choose the third portal and fly to safety from the steep hill. One night, Thunderbolt Titan was patrolling the city when he received a distress call. A woman had been attacked by a purse snatcher, and during the struggle, she fell and hit her head. She was now in the hospital room without her bag and her memory. The police officer informed Thunderbolt Titan that there were 3 men outside her door, all claiming to be her husband. Can you help Thunderbolt Titan figure out who is telling the truth? The purse snatcher might have taken her bag, but he didn't take her necklace. Look, she has an L letter pendant. And the first guy here has a neck tattoo that says Liz. He must be her husband. Thunderbolt Titan got an emergency alarm call from the Antarctica Animals Research Center. One of their beloved penguins had been stolen, and they needed his help to find the thief. After using his superhero senses, he narrowed the suspects to 3. Take a look at them. Can you figure out who stole the penguin? The second lady looks like she's hiding something under her skirt, but she's just pregnant. The third guy's backpack looks bulky, but see the flight tag attached to it? That's just his carry-on. But the first guy is hiding raw fish inside his tote bag. That must be to feed the penguin, so he's the thief. During a championship race, one of the cars was suspected of being sabotaged. Thunderbolt Titan was called to the scene to help identify which one with his scanning power. Can you figure it out before him? Take a look at the rear wheel of car 2. It's slightly wobbling, even though the car is stationary. Uh-oh.
Take a look at this image for a second. Which prisoner do you think is rich? Let's see. It can't be the first guy since his food is partially rotten. It looks like the other inmates don't really like him, and he doesn't have a lot of power inside the prison. The second guy, while he looks super wealthy, his jewelry is actually fake. This leaves us with the last guy, and bingo, it's him! Look, he's got a laptop under his plate and a phone under his arm. He's the richest for sure. Susie was invited to take part in a pop-up riddle show. She needed to answer one question correctly to win $1,000. She was extremely nervous when the game show host asked her this question. How many numbers are on a clock? Can you help Susie figure out this one? The answer looks obvious, but it's not. You need to do some math. The correct answer is 15. It doesn't work if you simply stare at the clock and say there are 12 numbers. You see, the numbers 10, 11, and 12 are made up of smaller numerical numbers, so the correct way to count it would be in a clockwise fashion. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 0, 1, and 1. Phew! A local thief was running around playing tricks on some neighborhood stores. On a Saturday morning, he walked inside Mrs. Buchanan's shop and stole a $100 bill from the counter when she wasn't looking. He grabbed a shopping cart and filled it with $70 worth of goods. He paid for everything with the $100 bill he had stolen and even got $30 back as change. How much money did the store owner lose in all of this? The shop owner just lost $100. I know it sounds too simple, but here's the deal. In total, the store owner lost $70 worth of merchandise, plus the $30 she gave as change. So yes, she lost $100. Maya was roaming through the multiverses when she ran into a gatekeeper guarding a green door. She said she needed to go through the door in order to access her original timeline. But the gatekeeper would only let through those who answered his riddle. He told her that some things can go through the green door while others cannot, and she needed to figure out what all of the things had in common. And then he tells her, "You can come through the door with a carton of eggs, but not with a box of donuts. You can pass through it with a gallon of skim milk, but not a quart of it. You can bring with you some bamboo, but not jade, orchids, philodendron, or ivy. Sadly, you can't come through with dogs and cats unless they're still puppies and kittens. Can you help Maya figure out the pattern in common with all of these things? Well, the key to solving this riddle can be found in all 4 of the words that make up the phrase green glass door, aka double letters. If something is spelled with double letters, it can go through the green glass door. If there are no double letters in its name, then it can't. Mark went to the farmer's market to do his weekly grocery shopping. He stopped by the egg stand, and the owner was feeling chatty, so he challenged Mark to guess the answer to a riddle. He told Mark,
"If I had 4 eggs and a thief gave me 3, and my rooster laid 5 more, how many eggs do I have?"
Can you help Mark figure out the answer here? I'll get one thing out of the way. It's not a simple math problem. It doesn't work if you just add everything up. But here's the first problem. Roosters don't lay eggs, so those eggs are out of the equation. And then if you read correctly, the man said, "If I had 4 eggs," which means that he had 0 eggs to begin with. So the correct answer is 3. The 3 eggs that the thief gave him. 4 prisoners from a high-security prison were taken to a deserted beach to do some community service. The warden wanted to have some fun, so he lined them up in a single-file line and separated prisoner A from the other 3 with the help of a brick wall. He gave each prisoner a hat, either black or white, without telling them which color they each got. In total, there were 2 black hats and 2 white hats. He told them that all prisoners would be sentenced to prison for life, except they could guess correctly which color of hat they had in under 10 minutes. The prisoners weren't allowed to confer with each other, and they weren't allowed to move around or change positions. They got super nervous, of course, but they had no other option than to play the game. Luckily, just before the clock struck 10 minutes, one of the prisoners guessed correctly their hat color. Can you guess which prisoner it was? P.S. There is only one correct answer. If you guessed prisoner C, then you got it right. Let's see why. This riddle can only be solved through a process of elimination, and 2 of the prisoners, prisoners A and B, can be eliminated right off the bat. That's because neither one of them can see any of the other prisoners, so neither possesses any information with which to make a more certain guess. That just leaves us prisoners C and D. When prisoner D remains silent and doesn't take a guess, prisoner C deduces his own hair color. He deduces that he and prisoner B must be wearing different colored hats. And since prisoner B was wearing a white hat, he guessed he is wearing a black hat. Yikes! This fried my hat off. Betty was in her last year of high school and she decided to take photography as an extracurricular activity. For her latest assignment, she needed to take an urban picture and present it to the class. However, since Betty was also organizing a big graduation trip, she didn't have time to do the assignment. Instead, she decided to Photoshop an image and show it in class. The teacher and students immediately saw that the picture wasn't real. How could they tell? Well, because that person over there has 2 heads. It looks pretty cool, but that's kind of a difficult phenomenon to find here on this planet. Three people decided to spend their vacations in Antarctica. Bianca had some trouble with the harsh weather, but felt it was worth it in the end. Pablo had a great time photographing the penguins for his social media page. And Helena got to do some fishing while she was there. On the last day of their trip, passing through airport security, One of them got caught trying to take a penguin with them in their backpack. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who it was? Let's see what we have here. Well, is that a penguin's feet poking out of Helena's backpack? It sure is. Guess she did more than just fishing during her vacation. Yikes! December 5th is Bloomfield Town's Contest Day. For this year, the mayor picked bakery as the theme, so contestants needed to bake the best dessert to win. The only rule was that the bakers couldn't use sugar in their recipes, only natural sweeteners. When the mayor went to judge the 4 finalists and pick the best dessert, he immediately disqualified one of the bakers, saying they had cheated. And he did that without even tasting the desserts. Take a look at the contestants and see if you can spot the cheater. Look at the third woman in the row. Her cake is literally covered in powdered sugar. She was disqualified because she broke the no sugar rule.
Martin is a Harvard student from a wealthy family, and his parents want him to start dating a girl from the same la-di-da social circle. The guy was tired of arguing with his parents and decided to give in. He liked 2 girls, Emily and Samantha. But which one are his parents going to like, who is actually rich? Write your answer in the comments below if you want to help Martin. At first sight, the girl on the left, Emily, seems to have more money, but the jacket she is buying at a boutique is fake because the name of the brand is written incorrectly. As for the girl on the right, Samantha, she's wearing real designer clothes, even though she's just doing homework. If a girl's financial status is important to Martin and his parents, he should pick Samantha. Look at these 2 girls and their fridges and comment below which of the sisters is now rich. It's the girl on the left, high heels, a flashy dress, and a fridge filled to the brim. She looks like someone who has finally managed to get their hands on big money. Thomas is an undercover detective, secretly visiting suspects, trying to figure out who has stolen a large sum of money. Today he has dined in 2 different houses with 2 different families. The first family treated him to several pizzas with various yummy toppings. The other offered him a steak and grilled vegetables. Now Thomas is a bit confused, because all the food is delicious and quite expensive. Can you help the detective figure out which family has more money? Share your ideas in the comments. Well, no matter how tasty the pizzas are, they're still cheaper than large pieces of meat. This means the family treating Thomas to the steak must have more money than the second one. But does it mean they are the criminals? Time and further investigation will show. Due to a technical issue, 2 families were given the same seats on a plane flying to France. An airline company worker offered one of the families to upgrade to business class, but it would cost a pretty penny. Which family is rich enough to pay the necessary sum? Comment below. The family on the left is rich. They have modern suitcases covered with stickers, so they have money to travel a lot. The members of the family on the right do look good and well off, but they have old and worn-out suitcases with scratches. They probably spent all their money on designer clothes and jewelry to show off. Two guys are staring at themselves in the mirror. They both look successful and wealthy. But one of them is actually poor and is just pretending. I'm sure you know which of them it is. Prove me right and write your answer in the comments. A small hint: the mirror seems to be magic. The guy in a blue shirt is actually far from successful. In the mirror, he looks like a rich businessman, but pay attention to his real-life clothes. They're old, and there's even a little hole in his shirt. He must be quite poor. You're a detective investigating petty crime. Today, you've been called to a supermarket where security guards have detained two women, suspecting them of shoplifting. Look at them attentively and write who is guilty in the comments below. It's the woman on the left. The lady on the right seems to be really pregnant, but the shape of the belly of the woman on the left is weird, to say the least. While you're at the supermarket, you manage to prevent another theft. One of these people was about to steal some Pringles. Can you figure out who? It's this young lady. Look at her palm-like ponytail. Very strange shape for such a hairstyle. There must be a pack of Pringles hidden inside. But if you disagree, make sure you write your version in the comments. Now look at these girls. They've been captured and locked in a basement. All of them have their hands tied. But one of them has more chances to escape than the others. If you've figured out which of them it is, don't hesitate and share your answer in the comments. It's going to be the girl on the left. She's got long, beautiful nails. She's bound to have a file to look after them somewhere on her. It can help her cut the rope. One of these people on the train is hiding some treasure. Can you spot who it is faster than other Brightside detectives? Let's check. Write your answer in the comments as fast as possible. It's this man. At first glance, he's just overweight. But once you look closer, you'll realize that his belly has an uneven shape and is even a bit lumpy. Both of these ladies are in a terrible hurry. They're going to be late for work. But while one of them might still get to the office on time, the other is definitely doing something wrong and won't make it on time. Put those attention skills of yours to good use and share your ideas in the comments. The first lady is bound to be late for work. She's trying to style her hair, but the tool she is using is unplugged. Look at these dishes very closely. Do you think any of them isn't safe to eat? Comment below. Let's compare the answers. Look at this piece of cake. There's a spider on it. And is it spinning a tiny web? I wouldn't eat that dessert if I were you. Now, we've got these people who look pretty normal and all, but one of them is actually from the future. If you can figure out who it is and write your answer, you might save the planet. It's this guy. He's carrying a smartphone in his pocket. Now this looks like a regular picnic in the park, but one of these people is a time traveler. Find them faster than other Brightsiders and make sure to share your answer in the comments. It's the guy with a USB port in his arm. We don't have those yet, that's for sure. 3 people were stopped at the security check at an international airport. They were suspected of smuggling different valuables out of the country. The first man was heading for a beach resort. In his suitcase, there were lots of things people usually take to the seaside: an umbrella, a pair of sunglasses, sunscreen, and a beach towel. The second guy had a cage with 3 colorful birds and a pet carrier with a family of hamsters. He had all the necessary papers. The third man was traveling for business. In his bag, he had a suit, some documents, a toothbrush and toothpaste, and a bottle of very expensive shampoo. Now, we can only rely on your expertise and sharp eye. So tell us, who's the smuggler? It's the third guy. He's bald. Why would he need shampoo? On that day, several police officers arrived at the airport. They stopped a group of tourists who were flying to a Caribbean island. But the detectives didn't know the criminal's identity. That's why they had to search the baggage of all the passengers. If you're attentive enough to spot something weird, write your answer in the comments right away. Aha! It's the young woman on the left. If she was really going on a package tour to a hot place, why would she need a winter jacket? Well, have you been looking for a chance to put on your detective hat? Well, here you go. A new portion of tricky riddles to sharpen your mind.
Yeah.
Melissa met her guests who came to her birthday party. Catherine came before Bob, Aaron after Raynon. Bob arrived before Raynon, and Timothy came after Aaron. So, which guest arrived last? Timothy was the last one to come. Now let's say you have 2 jugs. One of them holds exactly 3 gallons of water and the other holds 5 gallons. With the help of just these 2 jugs and a fire hose, how can you measure out exactly 4 gallons of water? Fill the 5-gallon jug to the top. Then pour it into the 3-gallon jug until it's full. You now have 2 gallons of water remaining in the 5-gallon jug. Pour out the water from the 3-gallon jug and then pour the 2 gallons from the 5-gallon jug into the 3-gallon one. Finally, fill the 5-gallon jug to the top and pour it into the 3-gallon jug until it's full. There was only enough space left for 1 more gallon in the 3-gallon jug, so you now have exactly 4 gallons in the 5-gallon jug. Look at this image attentively and try to find a mistake. There's no river on the other side of the bridge. Where does it disappear? Now, look at these men very closely. Can you figure out which of them is a fake doctor? The doctor on the left may be wearing casual clothes, but he has his badge on, which probably means he was called to work urgently and didn't have time to change. He's also holding a stethoscope. The doctor in the middle is holding a spoon. But even though it looks suspicious, he has just given a child patient some cough syrup. You can also see a badge on his uniform. As for the man on the right, he's not a doctor. There's no badge on his uniform. And if you examine him more attentively, you'll notice the police uniform under his white coat. He's most likely a police officer undercover. Christy poured herself a full cup of tea and drank half of it. Then she filled the cup with milk. Then she drank half of the drink again. Then she refilled it with milk again and drank the rest of it. Can you figure out if Christy drank more tea or more milk? She drank the same amount of tea and milk. Look, Christy ended up drinking all her tea since the cup was eventually empty. Christy refilled the milk 2 times, and every time it was half a cup of milk, totally a full cup of milk. Deceptor, a famous magician, announced that he could throw a ping-pong ball in such a way that it would go a short distance, come to a complete stop, and go in the opposite direction. He also clarified that he wouldn't bounce the ball off of any object or tie anything to it, and indeed, he managed to perform the trick. How did he do it? He threw the ball straight up into the air. Can you name 4 days of the week that start with the letter T? These days are Tuesday, Thursday, today, and tomorrow. Now, listen up. All statements are true except one. 3 days ago was not Friday. The day after tomorrow will be Saturday. Tomorrow is not Wednesday. In 5 days, it's a day off. Yesterday was not Saturday. So the question is, what day of the week is today? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday? It's Thursday. Let's see how we can figure it out. 3 days ago was not Friday. If this statement is true, then today is not Monday. The day after tomorrow will be Saturday. If it's true, then today is Thursday. Tomorrow is not Wednesday. Then today is not Tuesday. It's a day off in 5 days. If this statement was true, today would be Monday or Tuesday. But in this case, the statement contradicts the first and third ones. It must be false. Yesterday was not Saturday. It means that today is not Sunday. Based on all this, we can conclude that today is Thursday. There were 2 plastic jugs filled with water. Can you put all the water into one barrel without using any dividers and still tell which water comes from which jug? You can do it by freezing the water in one or both jugs and then cutting the plastic away, leaving only the ice. After that, you can put the chunks of ice into the barrel. This way, you'll be able to tell which water comes from which jug. A farmer in Florida owns a beautiful pear tree. He supplies fruit to a nearby grocery store. One day, the store owner calls the farmer to check how much fruit is available for him to buy. The farmer knows that the main trunk has 24 branches. Each branch has 12 boughs, and each bough has 6 twigs. Since each twig bears 1 piece of fruit, how many plums will the farmer be able to sell? Unfortunately, none. At least not from this tree. A pear tree doesn't produce plums. You have 5 jars with pills. Each pill weighs 10 grams, except for contaminated pills contained in one jar. There, each pill weighs 9 grams. You have a scale, but can you tell which jar has the contaminated pills after making just one measurement? To find the contaminated pills, you should follow the following steps. Take out 1 pill from jar number 1, 2 pills from jar number 2, 3 pills from jar number 3, 4 pills from jar number 4, and 5 pills from jar number 5. Put all these 15 pills on the scale. The correct weight should be 150 grams. But since one of the jars has contaminated pills, the weight will definitely be less than 150 grams. If the weight is 149 grams, then jar number 1 has the contaminated pills, because there is only one pill like that. If the weight is 148 grams, then the contaminated pills are in jar number 2. If the weight is 147 grams, the contaminated pills are in jar number 3, and so on. Many years ago, one guy was captured by an evil witch who kept him in her house. There was a cellar door in the house, and the witch warned the guy not to open it because he was not ready to see what was behind it. Can you guess what was on the other side of the door that the witch didn't want the guy to see? The guy was actually locked in the cellar, and on the other side of the door was the rest of the house and the outside world. The witch just didn't want the guy to escape. One day, a boss told his employees, "I can fight and beat any man who works here." A new employee, a tall ex-prize fighter, decided to challenge the boss. Interestingly, the boss won the bet, even though he didn't defeat the man. What did the boss do? Not to lose face, he fired the new employee on the spot. This way, when he defeated the boss, he wasn't working in the company anymore. Marty and Jill wanted to copy 3 60-minute tapes. They have 2 tape recorders that will dub the tapes for them, so they can do 2 at a time. It takes 30 minutes for each side to complete. Therefore, in 1 hour, 2 tapes will be completed, and in another hour, the third will be done. Jill says all 3 tapes can be finished in 90 minutes. Can you figure out how it is possible? Let's call the tapes 1, 2, and 3 with sides A and B. In the first 30 minutes, the guys will work with 1A and 2A. In the second 30 minutes, they will record 1B and 3A. Now, tape 1 is completed. Finally, in the last half hour, they will do tape 2B and 3B. Here are 2 adorable couples in front of you, Jane and John and Mary and Jack. Both are cooking something yummy for dinner together. So cute. But hey, one of the ladies is in danger. Who is it? It's Mary. Look, even though it may seem that John is trying to poison Jane's coffee, it's not like that. He's just adding some sugar. But Jack has a knife in his back pocket. It was a regular Sunday morning and Kendall went shopping. While she was window shopping, a pickpocket ran up to her and stole a wallet from her purse. She called for help, and 3 police officers approached her, asking what had happened and how they could help. Can you help Kendall understand which of these 3 officers can be trusted? Look closely at the officers. One of them has the Apple logo on his uniform. Another one doesn't have a cap that would match the rest of his uniform. So here's the one Kendall can really trust. The other 2 must be the pickpocket's accomplices in disguise. At a local supermarket, employees started noticing that someone kept stealing their produce. However, they didn't spot any weird people at all, so it must have been one of their loyal customers. The store's security guard decided to re-watch the closed-circuit TV footage to find out who the thief was. Once he began watching the footage from the day before, he instantly spotted the culprit. Can you spot them too? Look, there are 3 customers in the footage: a woman, a teen, and an elderly lady. At the start, everything seems okay. But a couple of minutes later, the woman gets pregnant? Now, that's impossible. She's certainly hiding something she's stolen underneath her jumper. It was a friends gathering. People were having fun, eating some scrumptious dishes that Susie, the host of the party, had cooked for them. The next day, in a group chat, Erica, Jacob's wife, texted that evening her husband had been rushed to the hospital, where he passed away a couple of hours later. The doctors said it was poisoning, and Erica rightly accused Susie of poisoning her husband. How did she do? Look at the image again and tell how Jacob was poisoned. Jacob was the only one having plain water that night. Look, everyone else was drinking tea and had no issues after the dinner. It means that the water in the jug was poisoned. Polly and Molly were walking down an avenue when they decided to sit in a cafe and have some iced lattes. No sooner had they sat down to enjoy their drinks than Polly whispered in Molly's ear, "We've got to run away from here fast. There's a man that escaped from prison next to us. It's dangerous to stay here." How did she know that? There were only 3 customers in the cafe. These 2 men looked totally okay, but this one is trying to hide handcuffs underneath his long sleeves. Annabelle, the world's greatest actress, woke up in a hospital. She couldn't remember anything but her name. She didn't know where she lived, where she worked, or even who she lived with. One thing she knew for sure was that she was married. There was a ring with a massive diamond on her ring finger. A couple of hours after her awakening, 2 men showed up in her room, Ryan and Jeff. Ryan was a young and good-looking man, and Jeff, well, let's say he was old enough to be her grandfather. Both of them claimed she was his wife. Who is the real husband? Well, sorry to break it to you, but Jeff is her real husband. Yeah, Ryan has a tattoo that says Annabelle, but it's Jeff who has a matching wedding ring. Ryan must be one of her fans who wants to take advantage of the situation. Eric and Hugh were heading to the class reunion party. It's been 10 years since they graduated, and both of them wanted to impress their high school love interest, Mary. They both knew Mary was a pretty materialistic girl, so they needed to show how rich both of them got. Maybe this way, she could finally notice one of them and even agree to go on a date. Here's the kicker though, only one of the guys actually got rich. The other just pretended to be wealthy. Can you guess who it is? Easy peasy. Eric is rich and Hugh is brokey broke. Yeah, Hugh arrived at the party driving a posh car, and he's wearing designer jewelry head to toe. As for Eric, he had to use public transport to get to the party. But take a closer look at the car. There are bank loan documents piled up on the back seat. Hugh probably just rented the car for the day. Meanwhile, Eric's wearing some luxury items. He probably just didn't want to waste time in traffic. Jason is a shop assistant in a department store. At the moment, there are 3 people in the fitting room who he's assisting. It's Jessica, the girl wearing a green dress, Sean, the man wearing a leather jacket and skinny jeans, and Alex, the man who's currently taking a larger pair of jeans that Jason has bought. One of the clients is an alien. Jason has to figure out who it is. It's Alex. Take a closer look at his feet. Only a reptile or an alien can have such feet. Mary was walking in the woods and suddenly saw a really fancy castle. It was getting late, and she thought she might ask for a stay in that castle. It was a wicked troll's castle, and he really didn't like intruders. Mary was captured and locked up in a dark room with 2 guards. Still, the troll gave her a chance to break free. There were 2 doors in the room. One door led to freedom, and the other one was locked. The guards knew which door led to freedom. One of the guards always told the truth, the other always lied, and Mary didn't know who was who. She could ask one guard only one question. What question should she ask? Mary should say, "If I ask your colleague to show me the way to freedom, what door will it be?" No matter which guard replies, they will point at the locked door. The one that lies will point at the wrong door on purpose, and the one that tells the truth will do it since that's what the other one who lies would choose. This way, Mary can figure out the wrong door and choose the other one. Jane was on a hike in Africa when she decided to cross a bridge to admire the view. When she was in the middle of the bridge, she heard something moving behind her. She turned and saw a huge, hungry lion waiting for her. She turned to the other side. There were giant snakes. The water to her left was filled with hungry piranhas. Where should she go? She should jump into the lake. Piranhas don't live in lakes, especially in Africa. They live in South America. Look closer. Those are just some harmless fish. A man wakes up in a place he's never been to before. He rushes to the exit and sees 2 doors. When he opens the first door, he sees that the hall is made of magnifying glass. The scorching hot sun fries anyone who enters in no time. Behind the second door, a huge fire-breathing dragon is sleeping. But anyone who enters this hall risks waking it up immediately. How can the man escape safely? He needs to wait for dusk when there's no sun. Then he'll be able to get out of that place. Maria lives in Paris. Once in 2 weeks, she goes to Saint-Tropez to see her extravagant grandmother. This time, she bought a ticket in a machine, finished her coffee in a bar, and headed for the train. Strangely, this weekend, she didn't show up in Saint-Tropez. Why? She bought the wrong ticket. It says Saint-Tropez, Paris, but she needed Paris, Saint-Tropez. When she tried to get on the train, the conductor immediately noticed that her ticket was wrong, and she just didn't have enough time to change it. Take a look at these 3 teachers in the school canteen. One of them is a vampire. Can you guess who it is? Check out carefully what they eat. The third lady has some garlic, so she can't be a vampire. The second lady has taken a bite of food from her tray, so it's most likely hers. But the first guy's food is still untouched. so he must be just bringing it to someone else. Vampires don't really need food. They feed on blood, so that salad is of no interest to him. The Smiths family, Ginger, Ross, and their kids Polly and Bob, had a celebration and exchanged gifts. But somehow, all the cards got lost. And since all the gifts were packed in boxes of the same size, the only thing that differs is color. Can you figure out to whom each gift belongs? Ginger, the mother, must get the gifts in green wrapping paper because her name starts with a G. Ross, the father, gets the gifts wrapped in red paper. Polly, the daughter, gets all the pink ones. And Bob, the son, has all the blue gifts, following the same logic. On a winter day, Mike went skiing. Suddenly, he found a secret laboratory hidden in the mountains. It was well guarded, but curious Mike managed to find an open door. Once he got inside, the door got instantly shut and wouldn't open again. There in the lab, Mike saw 3 large barrels, each with different stuff inside. The first barrel was literally on fire. The second one was full of acid, and there was a working electric saw in the third one. All of a sudden, Mike heard a voice. Each of the barrels contains a key that can set you free, but you aren't allowed to move the barrels. Good luck! What did Mike do to escape? Hey, it seems like this lab wasn't well heated. There were a bunch of icicles on the ceiling, so he grabbed them and threw them into the burning barrel. They melted and extinguished the fire, allowing him to grab the key. Lame Horse is the most popular club in town, and lots of people hope to get inside. However, security guards are pretty strict, and all visitors must comply with a set of requirements issued by the club management. Visitors must be over 25. They must wear a total black look, and their name cannot start with an A. Now, look at these 3 people waiting at the entrance, who cannot be let in. Well, look at their IDs closely. We have Ivory, who's 27. She's also dressed according to the rules. Now, here's James. He's 24, and he's wearing a red t-shirt. Out. The last person is Dylan. He's got a total black look, and it seems like he's 30. But his ID is surely fake. How can someone be born on February 31st? So, only Ivory can enter the club. Josh wanted to surprise his girlfriend and buy her a present of her dreams. But he wanted to make it a surprise, so he couldn't ask her what exactly she wanted. He decided to check out her favorites on a website she always used for online shopping. But her laptop asked for a password. Still, Josh managed to unlock it. How did he do it? Look at the sticker on the desk. It looks like a bunch of misspelled words. But each typo actually helps figure out the password. O in laundry, extra I in table, extra I in mice, V in the word answer, and extra E in the word cat. Altogether, it's olive. Chastity, Chris, and Jacob are at the counter near an airport gate. All of them claim they must be on the flight to Houston. But the airline employee says there's only 1 seat left. The computer has frozen, and he can't check the list of passengers to verify their claims. So he can only check their boarding passes and try to understand which one is real. Can you help him? The only real boarding pass belongs to Chastity. Look, the one that Chris has mentions his date of birth, which is never printed on boarding passes. The one that Jacob has doesn't have the flight number, which is almost impossible. Well, welcome aboard, Chastity. Liam was traveling on a train where he met Brian. Now, Brian invited him to have coffee in the dining car, and Liam agreed. For some reason, Liam left the train in terror at the next station without taking his belongings, even though it wasn't his destination. Why? The thing is, on the way to the dining car, Liam spotted something he couldn't see while seated. There was a huge tail visible underneath Brian's coat. He couldn't be a human, and having coffee with him could cost Liam his life. Ew. Ashley decided to change her hairstyle and headed to the nearest hair salon. There were 3 hairdressers available. Which one is safe? Look, the first hairdresser has just finished working with the previous client, and the client is literally crying. The hairstyle is horrendous. The second hairdresser has knives instead of special scissors. She doesn't seem to be safe either. However, the third hairdresser seems completely fine. So, Ashley should pick her. Mary is a beginner gardener. She decided to grow some flowers in her garden, and there are already several sprouts. Yesterday, she watered them as usual, but today she sees that all of her sprouts have perished. Why? Mary should have checked the weather forecast. Yesterday, the sky was covered with gray clouds. It was going to rain. So the flowers got a double portion of water, which is bad too. Mary should have covered her plants instead. It was Jenny's first month at her new school. At the end of the month, she found a note from Barry in her locker. At first, she didn't get its meaning, but when she figured out that it was encrypted, the meaning became clear to her. Take a look at the note. Can you figure out what Barry wrote to Jenny? To decipher the note, you need to understand that the numbers correspond to the placement of the letters in the note. The first letter is I, the second is L, and the 8th is K. Now keep doing this until you decipher the whole thing. The note says, I like you. It looks like Jenny has an admirer. Martha is standing on one side of a river and her cat is on the other. Martha is calling her cat, but you know, those guys aren't into water and swimming in general. However, the cat immediately starts crossing the river without getting wet. There are no boats or bridges. How is it possible? The river is frozen, so the cat can just walk on the ice. In 1890, Bart was 15 years old. Strangely, in 1895, he was 10 years old. How is that possible? The thing is, Bart was born in 1905 BCE. The calendar worked the other way around back then. Linda and Porter were walking in the woods when they saw an old hut. They walked inside, but the door through which they entered suddenly vanished into thin air. Instead, 3 new doors appeared in front of them. Behind the first one, there were venomous rats. Behind the second door, arrows with poison on their tips were flying across the room at head height. And the third door hid a 30-foot deep pit. Which door leads to freedom? They should choose the second door. They don't need to walk, they can simply crawl under the arrows. Pamela met a stranger yesterday, and she immediately knew who he was. She hadn't seen this person before, and no one had ever described him to Pamela. This person wasn't a celebrity, and he wasn't doing anything unusual. How come she knew who he was? The man was Pamela's friend's twin brother. Anna went grocery shopping and bought a lot of products that needed to be stored in the fridge, like meat and cheese. When she returned home, she realized that her fridge was already full, and she had nowhere to store all those products. What should she do? Anna needs to reconsider the way she stores stuff in her fridge. For example, rice and cookies don't need to be kept there. Once she takes all the unnecessary stuff out of the fridge, she'll have enough space to store the dairy products and meat. Hey, are you ready to test your brain power and see how much of it you actually use? Then, let's start. There once was an evil king who loved himself so much he'd always carry a pocket mirror to admire his own reflection. He wanted to have the largest and the most expensive castle in the whole world. He made workers build it day and night without a break, so they decided to take revenge on him. Once the castle was ready, the king went in and found himself in a maze. There were 3 doors, and he had to pick one to get out. Behind the first door, there was a hungry monster that could take the life of anyone who looked at it. Behind the second door, there was a shaky bridge over a chasm that was easy to fall into. And the third door opened to a massive fire blocking the way. So, what should the king choose? The king should choose the first door. He can use that mirror he has to reflect the monster's gaze. Voila! The monster is gone, and the king can pass easily. Sandra has just moved into a new apartment, but she's in trouble already. She saw 2 people break into the apartment next door. She knew for sure she had just one neighbor, and he was a circus performer. Sandra called the police, but since none of the men had a key or an ID on them, the police couldn't help much. They decided to figure out which of the men was lying. Can you help them? Although there's plenty of sports gear in the room, the real clue is the flower on the clown's hat. The exact same flowers are growing in the apartment, so he's the real owner. The police found a secret lab with a mad scientist living in it. He was working on a superpower potion that would help him take over the city. Somehow, he managed to escape from the lab, and now the police have to find him to prevent disaster. Do you have any ideas on how to do it? There are some flasks in the trash can. They must be the clue. And he must have left this weird gadget behind. Let's keep on searching. Here are some suspicious footprints. The mad scientist must have left them behind. Do you see him? There he is, hiding behind the car. Neil invited his best friends to his birthday party and ordered a cab for them so they wouldn't have to drive. Everyone had fun, but then it was time to open the gifts, and one of the boxes turned out to be empty. Someone must have stolen it.
Oh no.
Sue said, "I make more money than all of you together. Why would I steal that gift?" Nikki said, "I've just arrived, and you're blaming me for stealing something? Sorry for being late." Mimi explained, "I haven't even seen that blue box with a golden ribbon before. Who's lying here?" Nicky. Everyone arrived in one taxi, so how could he have been late? Liza is a secret agent, and today her mission is to discover some super important papers from a little house in a faraway village. She arrived there, made sure no one was watching, and was about to enter. But there was a combination lock on the door. Luckily, there was a note nearby. Can you help Liza figure out the code using the note? You have to count how many logs there are in each section of the house. The note has the order in which the numbers must be placed. So the code is 7834. Nick has just arrived home after a weekend at the polo club with his friends. Yikes! He just saw a burglar running out of his house. Nick tried to follow the stranger, but he was way faster, so Nick couldn't catch him. But he noticed the burglar was running towards the construction site nearby. He must be pretending to be a construction worker. Which of these guys is an imposter? Look, this guy is trying to saw through a beam. The guy on top will fall if he succeeds here. He must be the burglar. This family only seems normal. The dad is a real superhero. He can travel in time, he can fly, has super hearing, and always knows when someone is lying. It's cool, but not for his son. He has really bad grades at school and was grounded for the holidays. The boy really wants to go to his best friend's birthday party. How can he escape? He can tell his dad he has to be at school today. He can lock himself in and escape through the window. He can run away quietly while his dad is watching TV. His dad will know when the boy is lying, and his super hearing will help him notice if his son is trying to run away. So, the only way out is through the window. Someone stole a famous masterpiece from an art gallery. 3 people were inside at the time of the crime: the head of the gallery, a maintenance person, and a visitor. The head of the gallery told the police, "I was in my office signing papers." The maintenance person said, "I was cleaning on the second floor and haven't noticed anything suspicious." The visitor said, "I was in the modern art hall and was looking at exhibits." The police immediately guessed who was lying. Can you do the same? It was the maintenance person. The gallery doesn't have a second floor. In a big company, an important contract went missing. 3 employees became the prime suspects: the manager, the secretary, and the analyst. Here's what they had to say. The manager said, "I was busy at meetings with clients all day." The secretary insisted, "I was filing mail in the archive." The analyst claimed, "I was analyzing reports from the last quarter." The police quickly figured out who was lying. So, who stole the document and how did they know? It was the secretary. The company only updates the archive on Fridays, but this happened on a Wednesday. Busted! Someone tried to hack the security system of a top-secret research base. The base is really well equipped, with self-updating software and all the latest tech. 3 team members fell under suspicion: the engineer, the guard, and the programmer. The engineer said, "I was checking the base's power supply, and everything was fine." The guard told the police, "I was patrolling the area, and everything was quiet." The programmer explained, "I was updating the system software." The police immediately knew who tried to hack the system. Can you guess who it was and how they figured it out? It was the programmer. The system updates automatically and doesn't need any help with it. An experimental chemistry kit went missing at school, and there were 3 main suspects: the chemistry teacher, a student, and the school principal. Here's what they said. The teacher: I was prepping for class. The student: I was reading a book in the library. Principal: I was reviewing documents about new supplies. The police immediately knew who was lying. So, who swiped the kit and how did they figure it out? It was the student. The library was closed for inventory on the day of the incident, so there's no way they could have been there. You've got 3 boxes, 1 with just apples, 1 with just oranges, and 1 with a mix of both. The problem is that all the labels are wrong. How can you fix the labels by pulling out just one fruit? Think it over. So here's the trick. Grab a fruit from the box labeled mixed. Since all the labels are wrong, this box actually has either just apples or just oranges. Let's say you pull out an apple. It would mean that this box is actually the just apples box. Now you've got 2 boxes left. The one labeled oranges can't just be oranges because it's mislabeled. And it can't be just apples because you've already found the apple box. So it must be the mixed box. It means the last box, which was labeled apples, must be the just oranges box. And there you go. You've sorted out all the boxes.
On an overnight train in Budapest, Mrs. Celine got robbed. She is a very wealthy heiress and she inherited a diamond necklace from her great-grandmother, which was the exact piece of jewelry that was robbed. She called the inspector to solve the crime. After interviewing most of the passengers on board the train, the inspector narrowed it down to 3 suspects. Mr. Bruges was an eccentric widower, carrying a mysterious bag. Mr. Blue was one of the waiters on the train, carrying his metallic tray around. And Mr. Pearls was a hoarder, carrying lots of suitcases. Take a look at the images and give it your best shot at solving this crime. Mr. Bruges is just trying to keep his cat safe inside his mysterious bag. He's no criminal. Mr. Pearls is sweating like that because he's carrying all his valuable belongings, so he's really afraid to be robbed. This leaves us Mr. Blue, the true culprit. If you look attentively, he has a diamond necklace poking out from under his metallic tray. The airport police are having a lot of trouble these days. Many convicts escape prison and are trying to leave the country as fast as they can. Take a look at this image. You gotta figure out ASAP who is the fugitive. It's the lady on the right. Although the woman in the wanted poster is blonde, she must have dyed her hair brown to get through security. But her lips and freckles are exactly the same as in the picture. Tess, Ivy, and Monica are in a pretty bad financial rut. They walked into a local supermarket planning on stealing something. What they didn't know was that there was a police officer watching the cameras at the store. Can you figure out who just stole some chips? It was Tess, the first lady. Sure, Ivy is sweating a lot, but she didn't take anything. But look at Tess's hair. She's hiding some chips in that ponytail. For this year's Super Bowl, Taylor decided to invite some friends over to her place. Her house was packed with some of her closest friends. But some random people also crashed the party. Out of nowhere, her friend Jackie screamed she saw a thief amongst them. Someone had stolen her golden bracelet. Take a look at the footage from the party. Sherlock, can you spot the thief? You sure have a good eye if you spot the thief in the middle of the crowd. He was really swift in sneaking behind that woman and stealing her bracelet. Way to go, you! John started his Sunday morning by jogging around the park near his house. When he returned, he found out very unpleasant news. Someone had stolen his car. He questioned 3 of his neighbors. Henry said he had been playing video games for the past 12 hours and hadn't left his basement during all that time. Rosie said she was a gardener and had been planting daisies in the public area all morning. She also said she saw a suspicious man who opened John's car using a knife. Jack said he had seen John's car when he went out for groceries, but when he returned home, it was gone. After listening to the suspects, John immediately knew who had done it. Can you tell who it was? It was Rosie. She said she'd been planting daisies, but look, there are only rose bushes in this area. Bernard is the owner of a meat shop downtown. He sells really expensive meat. As soon as he opened his shop, he had a rush of customers coming in to buy their daily meat. During the rush, he was so busy attending to the customers that he didn't see that someone stole the bacon. Who's the thief here? It's the guy in the suit. The dog is smelling his bag like there's some bacon inside it. He's definitely it. Jane was playing a video game when she was swallowed by the game. The next thing she knows, she's facing 3 mischievous robots. One of them stole her game controller, so she can't go back to her own reality. You gotta help Jane figure out which robot stole her controller. So far, you know that Robot A said, "B is the thief," and that the real thief always tells the truth. Can you solve this mystery with such little information? Robot C is the culprit. Let's check it out really quickly. If A was telling the truth, then it would be the thief. But it's impossible because A claims that B is the thief. B is also not the thief, since A's claim that B is the thief is a lie. This just leaves us with the last option, Robot C. Betty was traveling across France. One night, she gave herself a treat by booking a table at an expensive restaurant. She was halfway through dinner when an elderly woman approached her. The woman said she looked a lot like her daughter and asked her for a favor. Since she hadn't spoken to her daughter for ages, she asked Betty to say, "Goodbye, Mother," as she left the restaurant. Betty thought it was super strange, but agreed. Soon after, she received the shock of her life. Guess what it was and share your 2 cents with us below. Betty was surprised with the bill which belonged to the elderly woman. She had asked the waiter to collect the bill from her daughter. Uh-oh, Betty. Can't believe you fell for that. Anna sat down to watch her favorite TV show. She made some popcorn, turned on the TV, and nestled comfortably to binge-watch an entire season. Her cat Pepper sat down next to her. But after 5 minutes of screen time, Anna suddenly passed out. Take a look at the image. Can you guess what happened there? Anna's cat, Pepper, got scared with a loud thump that came from the TV. It jumped on top of Anna and it scared the life out of her. That's why she passed out. The customer was saying that he had ordered soup, while the waiter was saying that he had only ordered tea. Henry saw something that immediately showed him who was lying. Prove to us that you've got the sharpest eye and find out what Henry saw. The customer is the one who's lying. Behind him, there's a huge sign that says the restaurant only serves soup from 1 to 4 p.m. Since it was 8 p.m. in the evening, the waiter would have never accepted the customer's order in the first place. It was a lovely spring morning, so Margaret decided to take her kids to the park for some fresh air. While the kids played in the grass, Margaret decided to catch up on her reading. She left her bag right beside her, next to a stranger. In a few minutes, she noticed the bag was stolen. We need your detective skills here. Can you figure out who the thief was? The person came out from the bush behind the bench where Margaret was seated. He was so quick it was nearly impossible to see him. Yikes! Robbie was invited to a typical college party. A lot of his friends were there, but there were also some random people. Out of nowhere, the lights went dark, and before he knew it, Robbie was waking up with a vampire bite on his neck. Take a look at some footage from the beginning of the party. Who's a vampire here? It's the guy on the corner. Look at the mirror. He has no reflection. He must be the vampire.
It's Lily's birthday, and Leah offered to treat her to a spa day. They arrived at the marvelous Pink Lotus Boutique Spa for their day of treatment and were sent to different rooms. One of the women received a text on their phone saying, "Be careful. Take a look at the image. Can you tell which friend is in danger?" It's Lily. The drink on that waiter's tray is definitely poisoned. She should get out of that place as fast as she can. Hello. Jonah woke up in a different timeline. Normally, he was a straight A student, but in this reality, he was a pretty bad student. His teacher put him in detention to see if his grades would get any better. During detention time, he had to solve some puzzles. For each puzzle he solved, he got points that would help him raise his grade. His first task was to find the difference between both images. He only had a few seconds, though. Can you help? Yep, that one on the right didn't have the scribble on the paper. For his next detention challenge, Jonah had to spot the difference between these two rabbits riding a motorcycle. Don't ask too many questions, just help him out. Yep, it was the helmet all along. Dana is a swimming champion preparing for her competition on Monday. 24 hours before the big day, she disappears. Nobody can find her. Her mother calls the police and asks them to investigate the crime, and they come up with 3 suspects. All of them are swimmers. Hannah says she hasn't spoken to Dana since their last practice. Ashley explains that she invited Dana for lunch on Saturday, but Dana refused because she was getting her hair done for the competition. And Melanie says that she spoke to Dana the night before. Dana told her that she was feeling anxious before the race. One of the swimmers is lying. Who is it? I mean, it's definitely Ashley. It doesn't make sense for a swimmer to get her hair done before a swimming match. It will get wet anyways. Daniel is a sailor on a large cruise ship. One day the captain asked him to go to the ship's lowest deck and get some supplies. But as the man was walking down the ladder, it broke and he fell down. Try as he might, he couldn't get out. And oh no! The situation was worse than he thought. There was a hole on the ship's hulk, and water was starting to fill the lower decks. Take a look around. Is there anything Daniel can do to save himself? Yep, he could put on a life jacket and wait for the water to fill the lower deck. He will simply float upwards, and then he can climb up those stairs again. I mean, if that ship doesn't go all Titanic, right?
Yeah.
Amelie was exploring her grandmother's closet when she came across something spectacular. A time machine. She set the date back to the 16th century and pressed go. She spent the day exploring a local market, but people kept looking at her differently. One man came up to her and said he knew she was a time traveler. He locked her in his basement and said he was going to look for where she hid the time machine. Amelie was so frustrated she got caught and was afraid she might never go back to her real life. That's when she saw that the basement had an old piano. Do you have any clue how Amelie can use that piano to escape?